Hello and welcome to a new episode at Mindset Mastery. I'm your host, Ahmed Assaf, and today we have an amazing guest, Angelica Wallesch. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing.
Perfect. So today, with our guest, we'll be diving through the things that are holding us back from achieving our goals. So I would ask all our audience, turn off all the distractions and just focus. Try to write down their goal, okay, on a piece of paper and just think of their goal because today we'll be diving what are the things that they don't know that's holding them back from achieving their goals. Most of it, it's a belief system. Sometimes it's a self-image. Sometimes it's the way how been raised, our way of our programming. And it could be like maybe the self-talk. So today we'll be going through all those things and we'll give you practical tips how you could overcome all of that. So if we could start and talk about the we have been raised in a families and we've been programmed genetically and environmentally, and this what called it's a program. If we look our or a paradigm, if we look at our results, it's telling us something. It's telling us a story, and that's how somehow it's holding us back. So if I ask you, Angelica, we want to achieve more but we are doing less. What are the things that are holding us back?
Well, I think a lot of the time it is, or actually, I would say every time it all comes back to our self-image, as you mentioned already.
Hmm.
But also what you call the programming, I often refer to it as belief system,
Hmm.
because we have this inner belief system that is rooted so deeply and we're not even aware. And it's full of what I call powerful truths. So the things that we believe to be true about ourselves and the world that's actually benefiting us and making us using our gifts and our powers. But then we also have our bullshit beliefs, as I call them,
Hmm.
things that we believe to be true about the world, about ourselves, about our ability, and they're not even true. It's just something that we have learned either from our environment or from experiences that we've been through where we have made a conclusion that may not even be right.
So this belief system, it's how we evaluated the situation that have we've been passed through it, and
Mm.
it was impressed in our subconscious mind somehow, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, but it's okay. So sometimes the most important thing is to start understanding that, okay, we have like a self-image, but I want to make a shift in that, or I want to make a shift in my belief in myself, in my belief system. So
Yeah.
how could we do that?
Well, the key is to start to understand yourself because
Mhm.
most of the time we don't understand ourselves because we're so um, ingrained with the self-image that we have and our beliefs that we have that we're not even aware that we tell ourselves these things that aren't true. So understanding ourselves is key and starting to get a grip of that inner dialogue of those thoughts and beliefs that are constantly repeating like a broken record.
Mhm. And what would be like a great practical step to start really digging deeper in ourselves to really understand more about ourselves?
There's I don't know if there is like a short answer. There's so much that we can do, so many practical steps, but I would say to start is just to observe, get curious about ourselves and see what isn't working. Like, what are my pain points in my life right now? What are my constant frustrations, or what are the things that keep coming back that I get upset about, or areas where I don't feel enough? and start to map out like what are my pain points, and then look at it and see how would I want it to be different, and then evaluate what isn't working right now. And then you're going to see a lot of beliefs that you have about the situation and about yourself.
Mhm.
And then once you understand what you perceive being the issue about yourself or the situation, you can start to question that and you get a different image of yourself and your behavior as well.
Mhm. So once we make a reevaluation of the situation that we have been in, as a belief, I can achieve this or I can do this, or once I set a goal, but I'm afraid of getting out from my comfort zone, the first step is to reevaluate our belief system. And then we have to make a shift and alter our self-image. So how could we just practically, if I want to achieve something, but my self-image, or I see myself, I cannot achieve it, how can I make this inside work change?
Um, well, I would suggest so. For example, if you have something that you want to do right now,
Mhm.
and there is something that you're thinking about yourself in the situation that you perceive as an obstacle, there is an area where you're not enough or where you feel like you should do better. So I don't know, do you have an example in your life right now where you have like this
Let's say
belief about yourself?
I want to start my own business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I don't see myself I'm able or I can do it. Maybe I will fail. I'm afraid from failure, or I'm afraid from just leaving the corporate world and moving go out of my comfort zone. I'm afraid from taking that step. So I feel that my self-image is weak. That's why I'm unable to go to that goal, to work toward that goal. If I don't change my self-image, we will never outperform our self-image. So how could I start making a shift in my self-image so I can be like a business, an entrepreneur?
Yeah. So there could be a lot of beliefs,
Mhm.
in motion in that scenario because it's quite of a big step starting a business. But to make it more specific, so I personally had a belief that I'm not smart because I've had different experiences with other people or experiences in school where I made the conclusion that I'm not smart.
Mhm.
So this became an issue when I wanted to pursue things and I wanted to start a business and help other people. So once I got a grip of that belief that I was constantly thinking to myself, I'm not smart enough, I'm not intelligent, all of these thing that was repeating in my head, I
Mhm.
could start to question and say
Okay.
like, okay, but is this true? And I have some different like exercises and practices to do this, but basically what you do is you get a grip of one belief like this, I'm not smart enough, or
Mhm.
I'm not educated enough, or I'm not whatever that belief is, and you start to question it. So you could ask, is it really true? Well, you start to get this, find examples of why it isn't true. Like, well, if I wasn't smart, would I be able to actually start a business, or would I be able to whatever you achieved up until this moment, like the things that need you to have some sort of intelligence,
Mhm.
that is evidence that you're actually smart, that the thing that you're telling yourself is not true.
Mhm. Perfect. So asking ourselves like those empowering questions will make a huge shift in our way of thinking and even in our mindset.
Mm,
And if we could start more, if we could just even elaborate on that and thinking of the person who we want to become. Like, for example, as the example that I gave, I want to become like an entrepreneur. You
mhm,
have to put the description. of that person you want to become, how he will be thinking, how he will be acting, how he will be feeling, and how he will be behaving. And once we ask the way you're telling me the why I want him to be like this, why he's thinking like this, why he's behaving or feeling like this reading this such script of that person will start impressing it in our subconscious mind, and we can see the shifts. But still, there's one thing that most of us are just attached to it, which is the people's opinion about us.
Mm.
So how could we conquer ourselves and just somehow try to do not react to that and just move on to our goals and do not let that stop us from achieving our goal?
Yeah, I think like it all comes back to that belief system that we have. And a lot of the time, I think, or from my own experience as well, is that the thing that we worry about other people thinking of us might not even be true.
Mhm.
And even if it is, a lot of the time we come to the conclusion that it doesn't really matter. But it's about starting to find different proof, because if we have a belief like the example before, I'm not smart, we're going to look for evidence that that is true.
Mhm.
So evidence that are strengthening that belief that we're not smart. And we start to interpret the situations as, oh, maybe they did that because I'm not smart enough, or maybe that didn't work because I'm not smart enough, or oh, maybe they said it could be like illogical in a sense because maybe someone said no to something or to hanging out because they had a busy week and they're tired, and we're like, maybe it's because I'm not smart enough, because we're always looking for the evidence that we're right, and we want to be right about better truths or better beliefs. So if we decide like, okay, maybe it's not true that I'm not smart because I've done X, Y, and Z, we start to consciously with the practice looking for different proof, and that strengthen that image, that new image that you're talking about, that we want to establish, and we can strengthen that image by looking for new proof.
Yeah, because if we let this people's opinion to dominate on our way of thinking,
Yeah.
on and focus our thoughts on their wants for what they want, we're doing what do they really want, or achieving working for their goals, we'll have
Mm.
a huge trouble inside of us, and especially in our self-talk. We cannot have a clear image of what do we really want.
Yeah.
And so we have to conquer ourselves so we have a clear image of what do we really want. And from that point, you start making the shift in your self-image and your belief system.
Yeah.
But still,
Yeah.
there is a fear in that. And it's okay, right?
Mm.
Because achieving this big goals, huge goals, it requires this step, the huge step. It's not like you have to accept that change. You have to accept moving off from your comfort zone, because freedom will not happen in the comfort zone. Achieving the freedom will not happen. So what would be the requirements, the main requirements to take that step out of that comfort zone?
I think also like speaking about or talking about other people's opinions, and I guess this is a part of that step as well, to not make people's opinions too important, is that I like from experience from coaching, but also on my own journey, is that when we make other people's opinions too important, it's because we don't trust ourselves. It's because we're making other people's opinions and knowledge more valuable than the one that we have ourselves. So starting to trust yourself, a lot of the times when I've done things, even though people said you can't do that or you're not capable of doing that, I've even had someone close to me telling me not to start a business because I would never make it. And I've heard people say like, well, you're strong because you do it anyway. But I think it's not about strength. I mean, it is about strength, but it's not something you're born with. I've been in times in my life where I've said no to a lot of things that I really wanted to do, that I felt called to do, because other people thought it was a bad idea, or that it wasn't for me, or that it was going to be too hard to pursue. So a step out of our comfort zone is to actually build that belief and that inner strength within ourselves and trusting ourselves, building that self-trust. And that comes through building our self-worth and cultivating self-love as well. So it always comes down, no matter if it's like business goals or, relationships or personal goals, it always comes down to the relationship you have with yourself. That's what I would say. So that's where you need to start.
Mhm. And sometimes we feel a little bit down because we're human beings. So what
Yeah.
would be the thing that will energize us and just give us the energy to move forward and just keep us moving forward in this life?
I think it probably like it depends on why we're feeling down.
Mhm.
Depending on like the situation and where we are at on our journey. But one thing that I can say for myself is that when I have a lot going on and we intend to get in this loop of negative thinking and we're like focusing on the things that isn't working,
Mhm.
it's good to find ways to just break that thought pattern, whether that is watching like motivational YouTube video or listen to music that is like firing you up, or writing like gratitude is a big thing, writing gratitude lists, focusing on the things that you're grateful for. There's so many tools you can use, and I think it's about finding the ones that works for you, but also finding the ones that works for your particular situation.
Love it. So, Angelica, what would be your last message to our audience who have like who they have like big goals, but something is holding them back, whether it's a belief system, whether it's self-image, whether the people's opinion in them, whether the self-talk, whatever the cause, what would be your last message to them?
Um, wow. I would say be curious. So not like make it into performance and like I have to fix this. And also just like, yeah, do take one step at a time. Do a little thing and never be afraid of reaching out for support, whether that is someone you know, someone you've seen on socials, or that you heard, in a podcast or YouTube video, whatever it is. But um, never be afraid of reaching out and getting support from others, because that's always the fastest way to transform. And yeah.
As you said, the comparison with others is so dangerous. That's why the only thing I would tell our audience to compare is with yourself, where you were like last month or last year, and just compete with yourself
Yeah.
and put a plan. It shouldn't be perfect. Just do it now. Start doing and
Mm.
don't ask for perfectionism and don't judge yourself. I really want to thank you, Angelica, for this amazing episode. And thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.